I'm here today with Josh Mosey. Josh is a writer, conference speaker, and marketing professional with 15 years of experience in retail bookselling. He would like to help good authors succeed, himself among them. Josh is a PAL member of the SCBWI. And for those of you who don't know the SCBWI, that's Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators. And he's the author of a book called The 3-Minute Prayers for Boys, among other things that he's written. And you can follow him online at joshmosey.wordpress.com. So Josh, it's so great to be here with you today.
Hey, Brian, it's great to be here. Thanks for doing the interview today.
Oh, certainly. My pleasure. Josh was heavily involved in the Children's Book Conference that we just completed about a month ago, and I really appreciated his participation in that. And, I'm also thrilled that he's coming out with new books. So we're going to talk about 2 new books today that Josh is about to release. But before we get to the details on those, Josh, please just tell everybody about kind of your background and how you got to where you are right now.
Yeah, so I started out working part-time at Baker Book House in Grand Rapids, Michigan, many years ago now. And for a while, I was the music buyer, so it was my responsibility to make sure that the store had CDs, and we were just phasing out cassette tapes at that point. And we still ordered VHS movies, so that's going to give you a rough timeline. So it was my job to make sure that the store had those things on hand. That shifted into more of a marketing and event planning role, where I got to meet a lot of cool people in the store, set up book signings, and that marketing role actually transitioned me out of Baker Book House for a time to work at Discovery House, which is now Our Daily Bread Publishing. So for about a year and a half, I was the marketing manager for Discovery House, met a lot of great authors, worked on promoting their books there. And then I left there to come back to Baker Book House. And so for the last couple of years, I've been the children's product buyer for the store. And children's books are really where my heart is. So both in reading them, I have two kiddos, but my wife and I were buying children's books before we had kids. And so it was a privilege and an honor to work there at Baker Book House with children's authors and librarians and parents and grandparents, people who love the books that I love, and I can help them with that. So that's kind of the retail side. I have since transitioned out of the bookstore, and I am doing writing full-time now. So I've had some great opportunities that have come about from my relationships in the publishing industry. And I've gotten the chance to do a number of different devotionals for kids, for teens, and for grown-ups. And so today we're going to talk about a couple of the ones that are coming out like now or near now. And they're for 2 different audiences. So which one do you want to talk about?
Well, first I want to give a shout out to Baker Book House. For those people that are not familiar with that location, it's in Grand Rapids, as Josh had said. It's a beautiful store. Very, well-known, very active. I mean, under normal circumstances. I mean, obviously, they're suffering as a retail outlet just like any other are these days. But I just wanted to, give them, some promotion too, because I know that it's an important place, and Josh was a big contributor there, and I'm glad for them. I hope everything recovers, as far as their business is concerned. But
yeah, you and me both.
But in any event, I mean, I'm so glad that you're doing what you're doing now, Josh. And, I think, you got an opportunity to help people in several different ways, so we'll in the future talk more about some of the new projects that you're working on. But for now, let's talk about those first 2 books. And one of them is out now and one of them is about to come out. Is that correct?
Yeah. So I got my author copies of Men of Valor earlier this week, and so it should be showing up in bookstores within the next few days. So I'm excited about that. And then the other one is Dare to Be a Brave Boy, a devotional journal for adventurous boys growing in faith. I did not come out with that subtitle. That is a crazy long subtitle. But it's a really cool devotional, and it's a different type of devotional for boys than I've seen before.
So who's publishing these 2 books?
So these are both published by Barber Publishing, or one of their imprints for children. and but it's all under Barber Publishing. And so Barber does, if you've ever been into like an airport and you've seen the little devotionals, or if you're at your grocery store and you see the little spinner racks, there's a good chance those are published by Barber. They do a ton of devotional publishing and a lot of really good stuff.
Cool. So let's talk about Men of Valor first. How did that book come about?
It's an interesting concept. My friend Paul Muckley, who's an editor with Barber, he approached me and he said, Josh, we want to put together a devotional, but we want it to be based on the biographies of 30 different Christian guys. And would you be interested in writing that devotional? And I said, sure. He said, yeah, we've already got the guys chosen. So if you can do some research, write about 6 devotions that would be tied into the events of that person's life or their impact on the faith. And, when it's all done, we'll have 180 devotions, and we need to keep them short. So, these are for people who have about 3 minutes in their day to do a devotion. And so the idea of a biographical devotion really, excited me, because I'm a big trivia nerd and I enjoy reading about people and discovering biographies. I get lost in Wikipedia, just going from link to link to link just to learn as much as I can. So this was a perfect project for me. But I knew my timeline. I didn't have enough time to do 180 devotions and to research all 30 guys. So I pulled in my writing buddy, Bob Evenhouse. And Bob and I have been writing together for a long time. We are part of the group. We call ourselves the Weaklings. In honor of the Inklings, but we know we are nowhere near as good. So we get together, we encourage each other with writing, and so we've been doing that for 15, 20 years now. But so he did the other half of this book, and so I took 15 guys, he took 15, and we both learned a lot in the process in putting this together.
Wow, that's amazing. Who were some of the men that were featured in the book?
So let's see. I wrote about John Bunyan from the Pilgrim's Progress fame, George Washington Carver, William Booth, who founded the Salvation Army, C.S. Lewis, David Livingstone, Samuel Morris, or Prince Kaboo, as he was also known, and Luis Palau were just a few of the guys. So it was
there's a lot of eclectic list, right?
Yes. Yeah, very, very much so.
So it must have been fun to do the research based on what you were saying just a minute ago. How did that go?
It was great. I went deep in some guys just to pull out some things that, you might have a basic knowledge of who some of these guys are, but I wanted to pull out bits from their life that maybe you didn't know. So maybe you knew that John Bunyan wrote the Pilgrim's Progress, and maybe you knew that he wrote it while he was in jail. But did you know how he came to faith? I've come to love and relate to John Bunyan because he was so much just a regular guy. Especially when it came to his faith. When he was trying to learn more about being a Christian and going to church, but he didn't actually surrender his life to God until like the 5th time he had a great opportunity to do so. So he was dirt poor, and his wife brought into the marriage 2 Christian books. He thought, I should get to know these better. Let's go to church and figure this out. And while he was in church one day, he heard, that sermon that is preached from the preacher straight to you, the one that I'm talking about. And he felt like he was shaking in the pews and saying, I have to give my life to Christ. I have to stop doing all the silly stuff I'm doing. I need to stop doing anything on Sundays. And so the first thing he did when church got out is he said, well, it's good that feeling passed. Let's go play some sports. And so while he's playing sports, which he had decided he wasn't going to do on Sundays, he's playing, and he gets this. He starts shaking. He has this vision of God saying, "I just reached out to you. Are you going to choose to live for me, or are you going to choose to live for the devil? Which one is it going to be? Because you can't do both." And so, like, this is opportunity number 2, and he says, "Oh yeah, I should make a decision, but I really like doing what I'm doing, and if I'm going to hell anyway, I might as well just make the most of it." So he doubles down on his sinful lifestyle, and it's not until like later on when he actually gives his life to Christ, and becomes a nonconformist minister who is willing to face jail time for his beliefs. So
Wow.
like I kept finding more, and I kept writing devotions, and I'm thinking, all right, this is going to be great. He has this vision. God makes him make a choice, and he gives his life to Christ. And then I read a little further, and I was like, oh, he doesn't give his life to Christ. But, that makes him relatable, because how many times do we hear that sermon, we walk away and we say, that was a great thing, but thank goodness the feeling is past. I don't have to act on it now. And, that's a sad state. But so that was one of the things that I learned. I don't know how long we have to talk, but
I'm sure you could go on and on. It's like, since you said you only got to write short devotionals, and only like 6 per figure.
yeah.
It sounds like you might have another book in there. If you
At
focus on
least.
just the smaller number and write more about each one.
Yeah. And there were so many interesting guys. David Livingstone, who is sometimes called Africa's greatest missionary, he only converted one African before he decided to give up being a missionary and just stick to exploring, so he could open Africa to other missionaries to come in. That one missionary, or that one person that he converted, ended up bringing Christianity to his whole African tribe. And so, if you're going to only bring one person to Christ, God can still use that and bring a ton of people through that one person. Samuel Morris, I had no idea who he was. Prince Kaboo, who died relatively young in life, but his conversion story, how he came to faith, the faith that he had, that if he prayed about something, God would do it, and God opened the door for him to escape the Grebo tribe, which had captured him. It enabled him to, with these prayers, he said he felt like God was telling him to go to America and to seek out an education, Christian education. And so he prayed and said, God, I'll see you at the boat, or I'll see you at the shore, and you'll arrange a boat for me, and I know you will. And so he just started walking to the shore, and sure enough, there's a boat who's willing to give him exchange passage to America, where he doesn't know anyone, but he knows the name of one person who might help him. And so he gets to the shore and he says, can anyone tell me where this guy is? And it just so happens that one of the people on the shore said, yeah, I know him. And so he takes him straight there. And that guy helps him to get into Taylor University. And so he's just, his faith and his prayer life was humbling to me to see how it could be done, and the relationship he had. And he didn't even get a chance he wanted to go back and witness to his tribe, but he died while he was at Taylor University.
Wow.
But at his funeral, 3 other students stood up and said, I want to carry on Samuel's legacy. I want to go to Africa and preach to his tribe. So, I mean, just amazing stuff. Plus, I mean, there was negative stuff in there too. George Whitfield's racist role in making sure that Georgia became a slave-owning state. We hear things about George Whitfield and how he preached to these huge crowds, and that's great. And he definitely advocated for Christianity in America, but unfortunately, he also advocated for slavery in America. And so, not everyone that you may look up to has a pristine past. God can use everyone, but we shouldn't be deifying his messengers. And so that was another thing. But it was a fantastic project to work on.
That sounds like it. Well,
Yeah.
hopefully there's some more books coming out of that down the road.
Yeah, I hope so too.
So tell us about the second book, Dare to be a Brave Boy.
Okay, so Dare to be a Brave Boy. Barber has a whole Brave Boys line of products. And so there's a lot of good stuff in that line. This particular book is a devotional journal, which means it has a place for boys, and this is intended for like boys 8 to 12 years old. It has a place in the devotional for you to write down your thoughts, write down some things. Every day is a different dare. So it might be a dare to do something at school. It might be a dare to do something for your parents. It may be a dare to write a letter to a missionary or something like that. And then it gives you the space in the devotional to actually do the dare, or go out and do the dare and then write about your experience doing it. So it's a very active thing. A lot of devotionals like Men of Valor are great because it gives you knowledge, and you can apply that to different areas of your life. But sometimes kids will read something and say, okay, well, what do I do with this? And so this devotional journal, Dare to be a Brave Boy, actually tells you, here's what the Bible says. Here's how you can apply it and go out and do it. Go do something about it. So it's a very active devotional.
Yeah, that does. I mean, I've never heard of a book like that.
Yeah.
So what are some of the different dares, some of the different challenges that you put into that?
It's been a while since I've worked on it. And unfortunately, I don't have my copies yet. So I'm trying to remember what some of them were. I know there was one was dare to encourage your pastor. So if you're a church-going kid, and probably most of the kids who are going to be doing this are, you can write a letter of appreciation to your pastor. Tell them one thing that you've learned recently. Tell them how you've applied it, and encourage them to keep doing what they're doing. With pastors suffering from burnout, especially in this crazy season we're in right now, I'm sure everyone could use the encouragement. One of them was to dare to look at how you spend your time. So this is a good one for adults too. Keep a time journal of what you do throughout the day, and try and figure out how much time you're devoting to different things. Kids are encouraged in school to do at least 20 minutes of reading time every day, but are they tracking how many minutes they're watching TV or playing video games, or maybe they're doing good stuff, playing outside and being active, but do you really know how you're spending your time? Because the Bible is very clear. We need to be spending our time wisely. But if you don't know how you're doing it, then here's an opportunity to actually write down a full day of what you do for that day. So those are just a couple of them, but each one is intended to engage a kid in a different area of their life.
Very cool. Very cool. I mean, it sounds like it would be a very helpful thing and somewhat unique. So
yeah.
So any books that are being released at this time of the year obviously have some hopes for the Christmas selling season.
Yes.
So can you talk a little bit about how both of these books fit into that context?
Yeah. So let's see. Men of Valor it's a tiny book. It is smaller than my head. And I guess I have an average to larger size head. I don't know. But it's only $5. It retails for $5. So this is make a great stocking stuffer for any guys who are interested in biographies or trivia, or just looking for a new thing to do 3-minute devotions on. It can be a great encouragement, and it's going to fit in that stocking. Dare to be a Brave Boy is, it's not a year-long devotional or anything like that. You can start it whenever, but I know a lot of people start devotions at the beginning of the year. So it's a great idea if you are thinking about giving a book this year and you want to encourage your kid to grow in faith. Maybe pick up this book and put it under the tree for them. maybe you can start it and ask to take a look at their journal every now and again, see what they're learning, see what they're doing, see how you can encourage them as a parent.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
And both of them are orderable online at this point?
Yep. I've seen them for pre-order at just about all the major places, Amazon and Target. But if you want to really, make this author happy, pre-order your copies from bakerbookhouse.com, and you can support an independent Christian bookstore, help them to be around for all sorts of author encouragements and that sort of thing.
Excellent. Excellent. So kind of looking forward, I know I don't want you to divulge anything that you can't, but I mean,
Oh, yeah.
you got any projects, whether they're books or other things that you can tell us about
Well,
underway?
I can't go into details because we haven't signed contracts yet. But I'm very excited about the next project that I'm planning on working on because it deals with racism. And it's a unique project because I am living in white privilege. And so it's something, it's going to be eye-opening for me to get into the process. I'll be writing it hopefully with a gentleman, a Black gentleman who has lots of experience, and he's a real smart guy. So I can't divulge any details yet, but it's going to be a stretching and growing experience. And I look forward to being stretched and growing.
What about on the non-book front? You've got other things going on too, I believe.
Oh, yeah. So most of my life revolves around books. If not that, then parenting. So I've got two little kiddos who are 8 and 10 at home. And so I just love being a dad and spending time with them and learning what they're learning and encouraging them. So we spend a lot of time together. But yeah, both basically marriage and kids and writing is where my life is right now. And it's a good place to be.
Excellent. Well, I'm so glad you're able to do that, Josh. I think you have a lot to offer the world. So I'm really glad that you're able to devote time to those events now.
Yeah. Thanks, Brian.
Well, thanks so much, Josh, for joining us. It was really a pleasure to have you involved in that children's book conference. Really great to see that, you're moving forward on new books. So congratulations and best wishes.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.